You're listening to the Femcast podcast, the podcast for women who are truly ready to break free from toxic relationship patterns, choose themselves, and become a magnet for the healthy love they deserve. Let's do this. This podcast is listener discretion advised for mature content and coarse language. Whatever. Hey you guys, what is up? Welcome back to the show. So excited and grateful that you're here. Welcome if you're new. Let's dive in. Okay, I know we had a bit of a difficult conversation last week. Guess what? We're going to have another one this week. Yay! I'm so excited. No, I'm not. But a difficult conversation, but one that definitely needs to be had. And that is this. I love you guys. But just so you know, you are always going to be attracted to the person, place, or thing that you need on a soul level in order to heal, evolve, and grow. Okay? Not they're always going to find you. Not they're always going to, there's a little bit of that too. But you're also always going to be attracted to, and this is part of our divine design, so that we seek out the very thing that helps us evolve as spiritual beings. Now, this is going to get a little woo-woo for some of you, but hear me out. If we are truly all just spiritual beings having a human experience here on this planet for our own spiritual growth and evolution, wouldn't it make sense that we naturally gravitate to the people, places, and things that are going to trigger the crap inside of us that is going to bring us to our own spiritual healing and evolution? Of course. If I were God, I would design us that way, right? Of course, we're hardwired for this. We are hardwired to seek out and be attracted to the very thing that is going to help us see where it is that we need to evolve, the lesson that it is that we need to learn, and how we are meant to apply it so that we could experience the evolution that we came here to experience. Case in point, many of you know I recently got back online. Very different experience than the last time around a few years ago. Very different experience. Here's what's changed. I am not attracted to the same type of person that I was attracted to before. If anything, when I see them now, it actually becomes a massive turnoff for me. And the reason is, been there, done that, learned that lesson, ain't doing that. Not even that I'm not doing that again. Like, it's not that I'm telling myself, no, I'm not going down that road again. We've been down that road. And I'm denying part of myself. No, I'm actually turned off by what I used to be turned on by, if that makes sense. Like, now when I see it, it's like, ugh, it's like an ick. Like, it's not even that I put, you know how sometimes they say, you can put yourself in denial and say, nope, been out with that guy before. I know exactly who he is and what he's all about. I ain't going down that road again. No, but you still feel the activity downtown. You know what I'm talking about? But you're trying to deny yourself, but you're not really, because downtown you're like, but it's on. No, not like that. It's like an ick. It is the ick. You know, the ick that you get that you can't un-ick after you ick it? It's like, no, not happening. And I really do believe it's because I got all I needed to get from my homework back in the day. And I really don't need to repeat that grade again. I don't. And so I'm not attracted to it anymore. And not only am I not attracted to it, but I can smell it a mile away. And I'm actually pretty repulsive to them. They don't particularly appreciate my boundaries or my standards or the fact that I'm pretty clear on what it is that I want. They're not a fan, right? And so it's kind of like, this is interesting. I feel like my life has become this experiment. And I'm literally seeing the after effects of whatever potion I've created. I'm seeing the after effects of it now. And I'm like, this is interesting because it wasn't like that before. Okay. And it's funny because, as long as the lesson was there, the attraction was insane. Even though they weren't for me. I mean, they were essentially, but they weren't like not long-term. They weren't my long-term person. But so they weren't for me. And yet I could not, and yet I convinced myself that they were. They weren't good people, but I lied to myself and made myself believe that they were. I sure as hell made it seem like they were to everyone else, because God forbid anybody else know the truth. So I was like covering up what I really felt and not only what I really felt and believed, but also how they were behaving, right? So it was like I was making myself believe it was something better than it was, and I was also making everybody else believe it was something better than it was. And I even believe on some level I was making them feel like they were better than they were, And that's probably why they kept coming back, because I kept boosting their ego. And I made them feel really good about themselves in the process, right? So now it's like those days are done. Finally. Finally. No more. Nope. But for as long as I needed to learn those lessons, I needed to keep attracting those types of individuals, and not only just attracting them, but I also needed to be attracted to them in order to allow them in so I can experience whatever it was I was meant to experience with them, take the lesson, extract it, apply it, and move on. This took several attempts. It does not have to take several attempts. You can shrink the time down, okay? Now, hear me out. I am not saying, this is not a green light. Like, listen, okay? This is not a green light to whoever, flutters your butterfly to like go out there and just be like, okay, let's go. Be careful. Use caution, okay? Tread lightly, because this is not a green light for you to go out there and just do whatever your libido tells you to do, because your libido lies. I'm telling you that right now, it lies. But there is something to be said when you are attracted to somebody, and the more attracted you are, the more you need to question why you're so, especially in the beginning. Like, I think it's normal to have like a built up attraction with a partner. I think that's healthy. But when you have that insane attraction in the beginning and you know they're not for you, like, they're not good for you. You can tell just by looking at them that they are not your person. And yet there's this part of you that's like, but can we? Would it be really bad? How many red flags are they holding up? Really? Are they really red, or are they just kind of pink? No, they're red. You see them. There's many of them, and you're pretending that they're not there. Why? I want you to get curious, okay? So rather than running off into the sunset with Mr. Red Flags, which is probably, instead of a sunset, probably going to only turn out to be, I don't know, what would be the, just a 5 minute, but anyway, I didn't want to go there. Anyway, point is, you ain't going to run off the sunset with Mr. Red Flags. What you are going to do is be like, I'm strangely turned on by Mr. Red Flags. I wonder why. What is it that turns me on about him? How, this is a very important question. How does he remind me of my last partner or my last few partners? What is it about him that reminds me of them? What is it about how the way he behaves that is reminiscent of them? Or how does he make me feel about myself that maybe they made me feel in the beginning when I first met them and I got kind of hooked to that feeling? You want to start to explore all of these things and start to ask yourself, what was the lesson the last time for me that maybe I ignored and I haven't fully integrated into my life today? Where have I been kind of neglecting where the lessons were, and this lesson's now coming back, knocking on my doorstep, hello, to like be let back into my world, when I've actually said, but universe, what I'm looking for is the partner, like my life partner. I want the man of my dreams to show up at my front door, and you keep sending me these douchebags because you need to be ready for the man of your dreams. And therefore the universe is like, but I need to send you these douchebags so you're ready, so you don't fuck it up when I send them to you. Do you get that? So instead of running flames first into this red flag relationship again, like you did the last time and the time before and the time before that, pause. Why might this be coming back? Why might this person be presenting themselves to me right now? And why am I so attracted? What is it really that I'm attracted to? What is it about them that I've seen in my partners before that I've not learned a lesson and not integrated and done things in my life differently? So like an integration would be so many different things, right? It could be, if I think back to a lot of my past relationships, I ignored the red flags. I listened to my libido. It got me into trouble every single time. And every time I got into a relationship, I kept ignoring the red flags and thinking if the attraction was there, it was on, it was perfect, everything else we could work through. Bullshit, right? For me, it was about letting go of this notion that, attraction was all we needed in order to make a relationship work. I needed to realize that there's a lot more that goes into a relationship than just attraction. So much more. There's also, for me, was boundaries. I never upheld my boundaries in relationship, right? And, people came and went and I felt disempowered and taken advantage of every single time. I overgave. They didn't give anything in return. I felt depleted, exhausted, and, taken advantage of in the end. And that was very specifically because I needed to learn boundaries. And I kept, every time it would happen, it was almost like the opposite would be true. The more people would leave and the more people would break my heart and the more people would abandon me, the less boundaries I would have, because I would think I need to be more flexible, more accommodating, more convenient. Otherwise, people are just going to keep leaving me, right? But what in actual fact, what I needed to do was the exact opposite. I needed to learn not to let people walk all over me. I needed to learn to have higher standards for myself. I needed to learn to speak my truth even when it was uncomfortable and say the uncomfortable things and really have those boundaries that I needed emotionally, physically, and mentally so that I could be my best self. And only then would I be a match for a healthy relationship, because only a healthy relationship would expect and appreciate those things. And a toxic one won't. And I can assure you that the toxic guys online are not digging my standards and boundaries right now. And I'm fully okay with that. There's one thing that really starts to happen when you start to do this work and move through a lot of these lessons. And that is that, like we talked about last week, that fear that you're going to be alone starts to fade. That fear that you're not going to find the perfect person starts to go away. That fear that FOMO of like, oh my God, but what if this is my person and I'm too hasty or I'm not convenient enough or I push them away, and all these things that you used to tell yourself, they're no longer relevant. Because, even though, like, to this day, and this is just me being fully honest, do I want a partner? Of course I want a partner. That's why I'm online, because deep down, I really do want to be with a partner, and I'm ready to be with a partner, and I'm ready to share my life with a partner. But here's what we're not doing that we used to do. We're not settling in order to have that partner. I am not settling on my values, my boundaries, and the things that I'm looking for in a relationship. Like, I would literally rather be on my own than settle again. Do you know what I mean? And it's not to say that I will be on my own, but you almost need to be willing to make that choice to say, listen, I know what I want in this life. I know what I want in a relationship. I'm not settling for less anymore. I'm just not available. And that's not to say that the person that you're with needs to be perfect. Of course not. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. How can I expect perfection? Right? They're human. I'm human. But there needs to be, there's certain things that, are my non-negotiables in terms of how I'm treated in a relationship and how a partner shows up in a relationship. And, I'm not willing to bend on those. And so, going out there now, and this is the beauty of not being afraid to be alone for a little while, is you don't make these shitty ass decisions because you just want to have someone there. You are willing to say, pass I'm going to wait for the right one. And I would rather be on my own, living my best life, doing the things that I need to do for me and my world so that, and be available and open when the right person does come along. Because I do know that they will. I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a year from now. Who knows? But the point is, and it may even get uncomfortable sometimes. Like, if it, I've been on my own now for 7 years. I was in a relationship last year which was amazing. Do I want to wait another 7 years for a relationship? Probably not. Would I feel good about that? Probably not. But here's what I do know. Okay. What I know is that I would rather do that than settle for the wrong one because I know what I deserve. Does that make sense? So even though it might still be a little bit, I'd be sad if it took 7 years to find him. Sure, I would be. Of course I would be. But that doesn't mean I'm going to settle on something that I don't want in order to have just someone there, because what was the point of the last 7 years if that's the choice that I make now, and I can make that choice and not do it, not begrudgingly or, it's because as much as I would love to have somebody here today, I'm not willing to lower my standards or neglect my boundaries in order to have somebody in my world. That's just not how we do shit no more, and I'm okay with that. And that's the point you need to get to, because only then are you going to make the right decision on who it is that you want to be with. You can't make a right decision when you're still caught up in the fear of, oh my God, what if I'm alone? And blah, blah, blah. You have to just be okay. You have to be okay with being alone mentally, even though you may not have to be, but you have to be willing to accept that outcome for a little while in order to say to the universe, no. We're not doing this game no more. We're not going back there where we went before. We're not attracted to that anymore. I'm okay with waiting until the right thing comes along. And until then, I'll focus on myself. I'll live my best life. I'll do the things that I want to do. I'll take the vacations I want to take. I'll take the cooking classes or whatever, or yoga classes or Pilates, whatever you want to do. Do whatever floats your boat until that person shows up. But the important thing is that you don't self-abandon yourself and what you want in a relationship and how you want to be treated and what you expect in a partner in order to just have somebody there next to you who's probably going to make you more unhappy than you think you're going to be when you're on your own. Because honestly, if you're doing it, like I said, the goal, I'm not going to say if you're doing it right, but the goal is to get to the point where you can enjoy the time that you spend with you in whatever way feels good to you. I will leave you with that. If you love this episode, please leave a positive rating and review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Until next time, you guys, massive love.